Here's what's coming up on today's show.
You can't kick yourself from where you are where you are, and it's just making the best decision going forward. Hello, this is Mark Silverman, managing member and founder of Silverman & Associates, and I'm also a certified financial planner professional. I want to welcome you to the Saving with Silverman podcast. I'm glad you're here. Each week, we'll discuss different financial planning topics because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
Let's talk about Forrest Gump.
There you go.
And you remember seeing that movie, right?
I do. He's a phenomenal ping pong player.
Yeah.
Getting into sports, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. And I never thought that, years ago when I was watching that movie, I never thought that one of these days I'm going to be sitting around talking about what we might be able to learn about financial planning from Forrest Gump. But he had some memorable quotes. And
Me neither.
Probably the one that I remember best is he said, "My mama always said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." What in the world, how in the world are you going to apply that to financial planning?
I think when most people think about financial planning, we like to base things on of what you think is going to happen. And as you know, life doesn't always go the way that you think they do. In fact, a lot of times it happens differently. A lot of times you don't know the reason of why things are happening the way they are until later on. And sometimes you actually are better off than you originally anticipated with what was supposed to happen. But, with planning, you've got to be able to pivot. So we can anticipate what may happen, but we also have to anticipate, if something doesn't go the way that we think it's going to happen and what we do if something else happens. So it's being able to pivot and having a plan that's going to be adjustable, that can change as life unfolds.
Take a moment, if you would, and think back over all the years that you've been doing this, and tell us a quick story, if you would, about a client who had to make a big change in plans because of some kind of life circumstance, some kind of event that they did not expect to happen.
Well, health, obviously. I can name numerous things, but, like health, if somebody that's, planning on retiring at a certain age, they retire and, they're going to plan on doing this and that, and then something happens health-wise, maybe, God forbid, they get cancer, and now they've got to speed things up and try to get away if they can, if health allows it, to get away and do some of the things that they want to do as far as bucket list items because of the fact that they don't have the time that they thought they did. So, and I can name numerous things, but that's just one that comes to mind.
Another quote from Forrest Gump, and by the way, one of the best things about that movie is not only the way they weaved all this history into it, and it was really kind of educational for some folks, I suppose, but also the soundtrack. There was some great music in that movie.
There was, actually.
Forrest said, "Mama always said, you've got to put the past behind you before you can move on." Do you find that to be true?
Yeah, I see that a lot. Can you have done things better? When I meet with somebody, can they have made some better, smarter choices? Absolutely. But you are where you are, and you can't dwell on the past. And, hindsight's always 20/20, and you've got to make the best decision with what you know now. And things like we just discussed can change. So you got to make decisions based on what's changing. So, we provide advice and recommendations based on how your situation is now and where you want to be. And if things don't go that way or things change, we've got to be able to pivot and make changes based on that. So you can't kick yourself from where you are where you are, and it's just making the best decision going forward.
Yes, it's never too late to start making better decisions, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
What is normal anyways? That's another thing that the old Forrest said. What can we gain from that?
I get where I would probably relate this is, I meet with somebody and we're talking about where they are and they say, well, what do most people have? Well, everybody's situation is different. We work with so many different people. Some people are still working. Some people are retired. Some people retire in their 50s. Some people retire in their 70s. Some people never retire. So everybody's situation is different. So, and everybody spends differently. Generally speaking, the more you make, the more you spend. I think that's pretty universal. But with that being said, everybody's situation is different. So I can't compare one person to the next as people shouldn't compare themselves to what their neighbor's doing or what their friends are doing. Their life expectancy is going to be different. Their means are going to be different. When they retire might be different. So you've got to look at your plan, your family, what you're trying to accomplish, and base everything based on your situation, not comparing yourself to somebody else, because no two things are alike.
I'll tell you what, Forrest always remembered things that his mother had told him, because almost every one of these famous quotes starts with "Mama always said this" or whatever. But the last one I wanted to throw at you here is "Mama always said dying was a part of life. I sure wish it wasn't." And I know, dying is just something that we don't like to talk about, but it's something you have to prepare for.
Yeah, nobody escapes. And the chances of, having a couple both pass away at the same time, unless it's a common accident, it doesn't happen. And so, and generally speaking, I hate to make generalizations, but a lot of times the husband will pass before the wife. Yeah. Because, women outlive us. And so it's making sure, and that's one of the key reasons why when we meet with people, we meet with both spouses, because it's so important that spouse, when they lose the other spouse, knows what to do and knows who to call and has a good familiarity with who they're working with and what's going on. So it's one less thing they have to worry about. And so, unfortunately, as far as the planning process, that is part of it. What's going to happen with end of life? How are your assets going to be distributed? What's your estate plan look like? Wills, trusts, all those sorts of things, and insurances, and just making sure that everything's put together. So when, not if, but when something does happen, what's the next step? What do we do, etc. And that's just part of the financial life planning process.
100% chance that we're not getting out of here alive.
Exactly.
It's going to happen. And you need to be concerned about what's going to be left for those survivors, for sure.
Yep.
And don't want to leave them in a state of poverty. Mark, I'm going to give out your number here for folks to call or text to get in touch with you. Why is this important during this, especially during this time, this inflationary period of time, and so much uncertainty out there for so many people? Why is it so important to give you a call now?
Like we said, a lot of people, when I meet with them, say, I wish I would have called you sooner. Yeah. The sooner the better. It's got to be a priority. Getting your stuff in order is important. The sooner you do it, the more options that you do have. The longer you wait, the less options you have, because you can't make up for time. And, it's been a challenging couple of months. Let's face it, the markets haven't been great since midsummer, and this quarter's been tough. So, as you're reviewing your stuff, whether you're doing it yourself or working with someone, now is a good time to get a second opinion, and that's what we're here for. There's no cost, no obligation. Ron, you'll give out that information, and if we can help you, we'll have a conversation and see where we can go from there.
You've been listening to the Saving with Silverman podcast. If you have any questions at all about your financial situation, please give Mark Silverman a call. Again, his number is 520-333-7601. Or go online to savingwithsilverman.com. For Mark Silverman, I'm Ron Stutz. We'll see you next time on the Saving with Silverman podcast.
The Saving with Silverman podcast is brought to you by Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, based in Tucson, Arizona. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show on your favorite app today and never miss an episode. Just search for Saving with Silverman to find us, or visit savingwithsilverman.com to listen to past episodes, to contact Mark, and to learn more about how to make smarter decisions with your money.
Did you know that Mark Silverman also has a radio show? Tune in to Saving with Silverman Saturdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. on AM 790 KNST.
All matters discussed on this show are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed are solely those of Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, and staff. All topics covered are believed to be from reliable sources. However, Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC makes no representation as to its accuracy or completeness. This show shall in no way be construed as a solicitation to sell securities or investment advisory services to residents of any state other than Arizona or where otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your individual advisor prior to implementation. Fee-based financial planning and investment advisory services offered through Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Arizona. Insurance products and services are offered through Silverman & Associates, an affiliated company.